Hi, everyone. Today is the first in a series of 3 lessons about argumentative essay writing. For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Ms. Regitano, and I am the new library media specialist at JCB. I'm really excited to be here and excited to meet all of you. Our agenda for today is we're first going to learn about and write research questions, and then we'll be learning about and writing keywords for research. Our goal for today is using a graphic organizer, I can generate at least 3 questions and 3 keywords related to my research topic. Please go to Google Classroom and find and open the Google Doc titled Argumentative Essay Questions and Keywords Brainstorming Sheet, and write down your topic in the box provided. Your topic is going to be something like marijuana legalization or the death penalty or reproductive rights. It's not a question yet. We will be getting to that. Developing research questions and keywords. So thinking about the research process, I reflected back to when I was in high school, and I was taught that the research process was very linear or like aligned. We'd start, we'd take several steps, and then we'd finish the project. But I never really felt like this model was reflective of my experience. I felt like I always was going back to different steps in the research process. It almost was a little bit messy. And when I was in graduate school, I was introduced to this model. And what I like about this model is that it is like a cycle, but it's not going in one direction. You can see the arrows point back and forth, indicating that you can go back to different steps. And that is absolutely how you should be approaching research. The first 2 steps are the connect and the wonder steps. So we are going to be talking a little bit about gathering background information and about developing questions today. Tomorrow, we will move on to the investigate phase. But it's really important to remember that we can always go back to these previous steps if we need to. So one of the first steps we must take during the research or inquiry process is to develop questions. I chose the example topic of marijuana legalization in the US. And when I was given this topic, I started thinking about different questions that I might have related to it. So one of the first things that I came up with was which states have legalized marijuana for recreational use and medicinal use. I know that some states have because I've read in the news something about Governor Cuomo wanting to legalize marijuana. So I know that there are some states that have and some states that have not. Then I started thinking about why would a state want to legalize marijuana? And I started thinking about potential economic benefits, perhaps from taxes. And then I started thinking, well, some people are probably going to oppose marijuana legalizations for health reasons. And I wondered what other countries have legalized marijuana for recreational use, and how has it impacted drug use in those countries? I thought that looking at those countries could serve as a model of what to do or what not to do. So I know probably many of you have been told not to use Wikipedia as a source for information, and that is absolutely true, but it is a great source for background information. So I would encourage you to use Wikipedia simply to get a little bit of background knowledge about your topic. So in order to develop additional questions, I went to Wikipedia and looked up marijuana legalization, and this is the article that appeared. So the first thing that I noticed was this word decriminalization. And that made me wonder, what is decriminalization of marijuana and what arguments are for and against decriminalization. And then as I continued skimming the article, I noticed that these 3 paragraphs dealt with federal and state laws controlling the sale of marijuana. So that made me wonder what federal and state laws controlling the sale of marijuana are currently in place. So I wrote those down on my questions and keywords brainstorming sheet, and you can see my example here. What I'd like you to do now is go to Wikipedia, find an article about your topic, and use it to help you develop questions that you wonder about. Remember, we're not answering those questions yet. We're just coming up with them so that we have kind of idea of things that we might want to research. Once you're done with that, we're going to move on to the essential question. The essential question is an open-ended question that is central to your research. It's very much related to the central idea. It drives your research, requires brainstorming/research questions to help answer it, and requires critical thinking and looking at multiple sources. I really like this illustration here with the essential question in the middle, and then all of those brainstorming questions, like the one that I just came up with, surrounding it. Kind of shows that you need that essential question to kind of guide it, but those brainstorming questions help answer that essential question. So, given my topic of marijuana legalization in the US and these example brainstorming questions that I came up with, I tried to think about what might my essential question be. And I decided that my essential question was, should marijuana be legalized for recreational use in the United States? So I went back to my Google Doc and I wrote down my essential question. You can do the same for your topic. Once you're done writing down your essential question, we're going to move on to developing keywords. Keywords are the search terms, words or phrases that help you find information related to your topic or research question. And the purpose of keywords is to help you find more articles about your topic. So, given my example of marijuana legalization in the US as a topic, some example keywords, the first thing I thought of was marijuana legalization. It's just the name of my topic. That's the first thing I would probably type in to a database to try to find articles related to my topic. And then I thought back to that Wikipedia article that I found, and I noticed that they used the word decriminalization. So I wrote down marijuana decriminalization. But then I kind of had like a writer's block and I couldn't think of additional keywords that I could use to find articles about my topic. So I decided to go back to Wikipedia. And one of the first things I noticed was this word cannabis. And it's used throughout this Wikipedia article. And so that made me think I should probably add cannabis to my list of keywords, because when I'm looking in the databases, there might be database articles that don't even use the word marijuana. They use the word cannabis, and I might miss out on those if I don't use that keyword when I'm searching. And then as I was continuing to skim the article, I remembered that those 3 paragraphs, they talked about legislation. So I picked out a few pieces of legislation that I was interested in just learning a little bit more about to give myself some background knowledge. If I were continuing to add to my keyword sheet, I might even look at the table of contents and then continue scrolling through the article, kind of just skimming it to see if there were other words that I might want to consider. And this activity of looking at Wikipedia really helped me to start thinking about additional keywords. So you can see I have marijuana legalization and marijuana decriminalization, which I already had, but then I changed the word to cannabis just in case the database doesn't refer to marijuana as marijuana, but instead refers to it as cannabis. And then I added medicinal cannabis and recreational cannabis. And then I even looked back at my questions and I was like, oh, I could do cannabis and health and cannabis and economy. Maybe those would pull up articles specific to those topics. And then I also added those three pieces of legislation. And I could probably continue doing this for a while, going through that entire Wikipedia article and kind of brainstorming some ideas. Now, one thing I like to point out is that keywords are different than outline headers. So an outline header, that the purpose of that would be to help you organize the content of your essay. So it might look like this. Like maybe first I'm going to talk about health benefits, then I'm going to talk about economic benefits, then I'm going to talk about like the impacts on crime and law enforcement. But I wouldn't want to just type that in to a database. If I just typed in the words health benefits into the database, I'm probably not going to find anything about marijuana legalization. The same with economic benefits or even impacts on crime and law enforcement. Those would certainly help guide me as I'm doing my writing, but for finding articles, that's not really going to be helpful. So I wanted to go over again, keywords are to help you find articles in the databases about your topic. So instead of writing health benefits into the database for my keyword, I might write cannabis and health. I could do cannabis legalization and traffic deaths, or cannabis legalization and consumer safety if I wanted to get more specific. Instead of economic benefits, I might write cannabis and economy. And instead of impacts on crime and law enforcement, I might write cannabis legalization and crime, or cannabis legalization and law enforcement. So now your task is to use with that same Wikipedia article to help you come up with at least 3 keywords about your topic. More is better because the more keywords that you come up with, the easier it is going to be to find articles about your topic. And don't forget that even after you are done writing down those keywords, this should be something that you go back to frequently. If you're reading an article and there's something that catches your eye, oh, I should look into that, write it down. Or if there's something that you wonder about and like, oh, I don't know what this term means, I need to look into that, write it down in your question section. I hope this has been helpful. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the investigate section about finding and evaluating information for our project.